both. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm using my cell phone today, so unfortunately I've got camera issues. So I have to use my cell phone today. So I apologize for that. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today, while we wait for supplies for our Halo diorama, which we were working on last live stream, we're waiting on some supplies for that. So we're going to work on a different diorama. This one's just kind of a little tiny thing. But I'm going to show you guys a mixture that I make for terrain paste and all of that. Give me one moment to check my latency and things, and I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to make certain my latency was okay and that you guys could hear me okay. Glad you're here. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, Mary Jane. It's good to see you. Hello, Morgana. Everyone, Morgana is my editor as well as the moderator, so please enjoy. And without any further ado, let me go ahead and get this lighting turned on. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just kidding. Then we will aim this down so you guys can see a little bit better what we are working with today. So let's see here. Got to make certain I get the angle right. Man, that is a hard angle. Oof. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. Yeah, it looks like you guys can see everything okay. So what we have here is all of the stuff for this specific project, including the project itself, which is this. So what I've done here is I've made a small riverway. Let me get that under there so you guys can see it. So what I've done here is I've made a small riverway that has got some, foil here. This is going to help to represent water. We will airbrush some blue shades onto that in varying colors to make it look more like water. Then we'll throw some resin into it. It has a small house on top. This is in a precarious position, it looks like, but we will take care of that by giving it, some sloping and some nice work. We're going to put a bridge across, but first things first, we need to get some terrain paste on this. So we're going to make some terrain paste real quick. Let me grab a container for that. All right, so let's grab this. Let's move all of these things, because those are ground cover stuff. We need this. We'll need this. We will need all of that stuff moved aside so that you guys can see what's on the mat better. And so, for terrain paste, you'll need Mod Podge. This is a water sealer for foam. It helps keep the foam from getting damaged. That is such a hard angle. Alright, there we go. Okay, I think we've got it now. So, we're going to take some Mod Podge, which, as you can see, its lid wanted to seal onto it. We'll need a little bit of this. This is just some powdered paste. So we just need a little bit of this because we don't have to make up too much. We need our Mod Podge. For a water sealer, we want to add a little bit of sand for texture. This is just some fine texturing sand. And then we need our brown paint. So we'll add just a little bit, if I can get it open. Oh, geez. There it goes. Sometimes it fights me, sometimes it don't. And the reason for the brown paint is to add color. Because we want to have a little bit of brown coloring to it. Let's see, where's my terrain paste brush? There it is. Alright, so we want to start mixing this together. I may have to add more Mod Podge. Yeah, I gotta add far more Mod Podge than I have been. Alright, so because we want this to be an almost pasty consistency. See how it's getting kind of pasty? And that's kind of the consistency that we want from it. Is to be an awful lot like some terrain paste here. Alright, look at how that's mixing up nicely. And this will just allow us to have a nice solid layer. It's got some nice texturing to it, so it'll be nice for that. I'm sorry if I'm not completely paying attention to chat. That is my bad. I do apologize for that. There we go. See, that's about the consistency you want with it. You can see it's got a bit of a sandy texture to it. Get this into some water so we can get the Mod Podge off of it and out of it. Last thing we want to do is ruin that. I am grabbing a quick spat. If I can remember where I put it. I can't always remember where I put things, guys, so I apologize. I'll just use the back of my ruler for it. I have a ruler for this. Alright. Let's go ahead and get some of this out of the way. Off of here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to apply the paste to the surfaces here. Like so. Get some down into the sidelines here. Now I'm not going to coat this side yet because we've got to cut it down and trim it. So we're just going to get this side coated for now. Get that down to the very edge of the foil here. On both sides. You guys can see what I'm doing, alright, I hope. Hey Blazing, welcome to the stream, man. The Halo project is on hold while we wait for some items to come in. So we're going to be working on this little project right here. This is just a small house that's precariously sitting on a hill. We're currently adding the terrain paste so that it's got a nice, you know, waterproof coating and such. And this stuff don't spread easy, but it works. You know, so we're just getting it into all the cracks and crevices and holes that would be otherwise the paint problem. Oh no. Got a little bit going into an area I don't want it to. But for that, I keep such things like the towels. So we can go ahead and clear out this channelway a bit. Because we don't want that getting too covered in Mod Podge. We want that terrain paste to be mostly on the actual terrain, not down into the riverbed, because I've got some things that will go into the riverbed. Alright. Let's go ahead and scrape the excess off of that so we can finish out this. Again, I apologize if I'm not paying too heavily to chat. I'm not, of course, trying to ignore you guys at all. It's not even about that. I just kind of really get into these, so I apologize on that. Hopefully you guys can hear me better today. I know that we were having mic issues the last time, so I'm doing my best to keep the proper mic setups. In this case, I'm just using the basic cell phone mic, so I apologize on that. And boy, do I spend a lot of time apologizing. Alright, so we've got the terrain paste on this one side here. And while that dries, we'll trim down this side over here a bit. Alright, so we'll set this aside for the moment. We will take some of this terrain sand and just put it down while this is still wet, to add a little bit of texturing to it. Because even though we added the terrain paste and stuff having sand in it for texture, we want to add a little bit more texturing to it. Alright, so again, everyone, I really caution you, if you're going to be using sharp objects, please remember to take extreme precautions to it. The last thing you want to do is hurt yourself. The reason I'm not using my hot wire tool with this is my ventilator mask currently needs to get some new filters for it. So unfortunately, we have to deal with that. So instead, we're just going to take our tool here and just softly carve away until we get kind of the desired shape of the mountain that we want. And I don't currently have the most sharp X-Acto tool, so I apologize there. And we got to make certain we trim this away. I don't normally have to cut foam like this, guys. This is just already pre-glued. And so I have to kind of get through the glue as well as anything else. I'm going to trim this down here. And yeah, you can see the resistance when it hits that spot full of glue. You want to kind of trim down so that this is on a rather precarious mountain. And so we're just going to trim away until we have a rough mountain shape, leading into kind of a canyon-like river here. And then we will take one of the offcuts that we have so that we can make a little, stairway from here to here. I also recommend when you are using a sharp object and cutting foam, I just recommend you take your time. As a lot of times, taking your time will allow you to assess your project as you go, if you know what I mean. And if you couldn't hear me, I apologize. Again, looking downwards, so I apologize if you can't hear me too well. We're going to take this nice little wedge here, stick that there. For that, we will just use a little bit of some glue, because we have our crafting glue here, something I prefer to keep close. So we'll just put a little bit there. since we've got this really nice offcut, we can just put that like that. And then once that dries, we can trim it down. We got glue on the one side, we just like that. And then we can trim it down as we go. The rest of this we'll want to have some terrain paste onto it. So now that we've gotten to that point, let's clean up our mess a little bit here. We've got a bit of a foam mess, and I've got a hot Mod Podge on me. Good thing I'm wearing my crafting clothes. Alright. So while this part up here dries, we're going to get terrain paste down below. And try and get some sand onto that. Again, this will give the texture that we want for the starting ground. Then once we get the sand on it, we will add the watered down glue so that it holds everything into place. We're just going to go right up to where that glued in spot there is. We just want to make certain that this spreads nice. Gets down a little bit to the edging of the water there. We are going to be putting some kind of plant life into it, so stay tuned for that. And I missed the chat, so give me one moment. You know, yeah, I have had plenty of times in the past where I've had the same issue where I have messed up good clothing because I didn't plan for the project I was doing. And so, yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that. It's one of the reasons I do stress with some things for people. If you're doing, especially when you're doing a project that involves things like Mod Podge or paint or whatever, please make certain, whatever you do, please make certain to take care of wearing the appropriate clothing. You want to wear the appropriate clothing. And I'm glad you enjoy watching my projects, Blazing. I'm sorry I missed your comment there. That is my bad. I do my best for y'all, you know. I love you guys a lot. You guys are absolutely amazing. Now, one of the nice things about the terrain paste mixture is it also will help give some kind of shape to the project without you needing to do much. It will help take that just randomly cut form that you've made and make it look a bit more like the terrain that you're working on or that you want to be working on. We got this nice little house back here, but I accidentally got some Mod Podge terrain paste on it. Now you'll notice, guys, that this project has a different kind of terrain paste than I used with the Halo build because I did not have all of the supplies that I needed for the terrain paste, 1, and 2, Halo takes place on a space station that is a giant, halo of a ring. So there's just a lot more to it looking the way it does compared to the way this is going to look. Anyhow, have you guys ever made dioramas that you really enjoyed? If so, and you're in the stream, let me know. And if you're watching the VOD later on, let me know in the comments below. Because that would be amazing. And I'd love to know what kind of projects you guys like to work on. We're just getting this terrain paste spread to all the non-glued areas. We're using it to fill in gaps in the foam. That way we don't, it doesn't look like it's all gapped and bubbled and full of air holes and pockets. All right. That excess out of there. We don't want too much to flow downwards. There we go. And that glued spot's actually going to take a day to dry. So that can stay the way it is for now. I will be able to deal with that also later on. Alright, so now that we've got the terrain paste applied again to the other side here, we're going to go ahead and apply the sand to it. Adding that nice, we're in a rocky, mountainous area kind of ground cover. The back I'm not going to do in the sandy texture because that's going to get textured to look more like stone. Touch up this area here real quick. Perfect. Look at that. Alright. So what color do you guys think we should paint this building right here? Because it's supposed to be a church on a precarious hill, so we need to figure out just how precarious it's going to be. And, what color we should make it. It's got a couple of windows that I've made for it, as you can see. It's got a little tower turret. Things of that nature. Alright, let me get this powdered paste put away. And we have, this is our paint primer, which we will have to use on this after we get the Mod Podge down on it. So while we've got that opportunity, let's go ahead and do that. And while I do get this clean, I'll chat. So surprisingly enough, Lego sets actually do count as a type of diorama. If there's something that you don't actually play with, you just set them there to look at. They count as a diorama. So that's a cool thing. Cool bit of info for you. Right now I'm just kind of getting the sand and grit from the terrain paste out of the brush. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this layer of Mod Podge on here. Now because it's the building, we only need to do the Mod Podge on it, which makes this part a bit easier. We just paint it on there real quick and easy like. It will also, again, help to fill in the bubble hole gaps that we see in a lot of foam, especially in the projects I'm currently doing. And so we want that. And we just sit here and gently coat everything else. Just get that done up real quick so that we have a nice layer of protection and water sealant to our little building so that we can paint it up. Alright. Starting to look really nice, getting that Mod Podge covering it up. Yeah. Alright. So now we have our layers of Mod Podge down on that. And that means we'll be able to paint it once that dries. Now this will take about 24 hours to dry. So we will either tomorrow or the next day do a live stream where we get back to this one. It'll be about 4 days or so before we can get back to the Halo project. Go ahead and clean out this terrain paste.
Sorry about having to go into the cleaning mode real quick, guys. It's just that with those two objects, and just any of your objects that you use with crafting, it's just best if you keep them clean before the Mod Podge and terrain paste dries into it. And I do have to say before it dries into it. Let's use this to kind of get some of that terrain paste out of there while still keeping the reflectivity. Because we want the texture, but we also want the reflectivity to kind of shine through. Because that's going to be a big portion of the look for the river. And creek bed. Now while this is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and throw down some different shades of green flocking onto these sides, which we will seal down with a bit of watered down glue. So we're just going to kind of spread a couple of different greens onto it. A little bit of this green here. We'll let those green pieces stay down into the riverbed, because those will be part of the greenery within the river and creek. Sorry, my alarm decided to go off. Okay, so now we want to get some light green flocking down, which came with my bushies. Because we got these really nice fancy bushes that came in. But it's got a bunch of extra light green flocking in it, so we can do some of that to add some depth of field. Yeah, see how that looks? Completely changes the look when you've got a couple of different shades of green in there. Oh, you don't need that though. You get that spread a little bit. And this will give us our ground base for where we put our little trees. Let's put that back. Alright. We take our watered down glue mixture, which I showed you guys as I was mixing up earlier. And we're just going to kind of drip it along onto all of this. We also need to break the surface tension a bit, and so I don't have an alcohol spray for that just yet, guys. I apologize. So it is going to be a little haphazard because of that. Now I did make certain to put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol into the mixture, so that it's wet down, and it'll break the surface tension. So now what we want to do while we've still got the watered down glue sitting there is we'll take some of this static grass that I have, so you can give it some brown patches. Where it's going to have just a little bit of grass peeking through that's this shade. We don't mind clumps either. Clumps are totally fine, because those add to the depth of field and texture, which is what we want. Okay. Now we've got these really nice jungle tufts that I got from Army Painter, which are these. Sorry about that. That one light just cuts off when it gets too long lasting and on. But we have these. These are jungle tufts. They're little tufts of grass. And they're just little tufts of static grass. Packaging open. So as you can see, they just kind of come on a little strip. And this is what we need our tweezers for. Because we will need this to help with laying these out. So let's just get them peeled off one at a time. Come on. There we go. Oh, and then I dropped it. Okay. Of course. Let go. Come on now. There we go. Sometimes it gives me a little bit of shit. Spread out these little tufts of the glass there. There we go. And give me a moment to go check chat. There we go. Okay. So that is the one side. Sans trees, of course. Right. Packaging is half the battle? Yeah, packaging is definitely half the battle here. Well, you know, so far we've got a showing 6 likes, so I've got no complaints there. So, thank you all so much for all the love that you have given me on this. I appreciate you guys so much. Get some more of this tying down real fast. Just to fill in these gaps. Since we have so much just laying here, we might as well put it to use. That is kind of the nice thing about a project, if you end up with blank spots, but you've got a bunch of leftover just laying there, you can pick it up and put it onto the project. And yeah, there we go. So now that's going to take some time to set, guys. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here because there's not much else I can really do with this project. So thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love you guys so much, and we will bring you some figure paintings and other things. Oh my god, there's my face! That is one scary face. Not really. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I appreciate you guys so much. And as always, we will see you in the next amazing streamer video. I love your faces, guys.